Spock, look.
Captain, you will defend. Thralls must stay in the blue area. You will take the yellow. Touching an opposing color deprives a contestant of one weapon. An opponent must be killed to be removed from the game. If only wounded, he is replaced by a fresh Thrall. Is that clear, Captain?
Yes, that's clear. What in the name of heaven is this?
Welcome, everyone. Yep. So we're going to do the mods. This is very simple. I might do a little bit of gameplay here. But what we're looking at is sort of the setup for how to use the crew of the Enterprise versus enemy forces here. I will modify this later on, maybe with Klingons or Borg or Ferengi. But for now, we're just going to worry about Kirk and crew. You'll notice that there are dice in the red squares. That's for Sulu and Chekhov. Chekhov's over here. Sulu's to the far in the back. And that's because they can't fit in there. These Pez dispensers are pretty tall. So because these are the senior pieces, all the senior pieces are moved down here. They will not be counted as eaten pieces for the game. And for the Rook, so the Rook in the Star Trek instruction set, as we go to the back, the Rook, it's moving, it says here that a Rook moves any number of unoccupied pieces along its current rank or file. Now, in the YouTube video, there's a YouTube video how to play Star Trek chess. So the way it's showing is that moving this pawn aside, that the Rook could take out this pawn here. However, it doesn't say exactly so in the instruction manual. So when you are, whether you're playing this version or you're playing traditional chess, there should be a handshake agreement between the two opponents. So you and your friend or enemy or whoever, you'll have to decide, maybe a coin toss, whether or not you want this Rook here to move through the. But if it does move, it can't land on a non-existent square. It has to land here or there, as long as a friendly is not on there. So if a black pawn is on this and not the white one, then you would have to not move through there. So you're stuck. So that's all that really means. So if the Rook is to move through those non-existent squares, it has to be by a handshake agreement. All right? Now we'll start with the easiest ones first. These are the pawns. These are the red shirts. Red shirts always die. Maybe, maybe not. The red shirts will move through, you can't, when you are moving, obviously, for pawns, here's the pawns here, you could do en passant, in which you have, they kind of move, let's see, like this. So you can do this and take a pawn out like that. I think that's en passant. So you can take out another person, or a higher rank, and that's how you do it. You obviously move 2 squares, and you can move this way. That's the red shirts, okay? So these are the lowest run guys. They move that way. And you have to always remember that when you are moving, how I say it, these last 2 rows overlap so that the last 2 rows can become here. So when you are moving, you can't land on the white square. If you're moving 2 squares forward, you always land on the red square here. So it's very simple, very elementary how the pawns move. Here's Chekhov, vessels. Anton Yelchin, when they did the making of Star Trek 2009, he actually beat Bruce Greenwood and Chris Pine at regular chess. I don't know if Anton actually did this one. Oh, he would probably love it. I think he would love it. But this is dedicated to Anton here because he loved chess. So the way Chekhov moves is similar to the knight, except it's more like the knight in shogi, in which he can only move this way. Or no, actually, I think the knight in shogi moves a certain way. But anyway, Chekhov can only make. He's the horizontal knight, in which when he eats a piece, right, he can only move horizontally. Now, obviously, because Chekhov cannot fit exactly underneath here, you would have to use one of the die to represent him. So here he takes out the pawn and the knight, and he moves horizontally. And here is Mr. Sulu. Now, he moves a specific way in that he can move vertically. He moves vertically. He's the vertical knight. So in this way, he takes out that pawn there, and then you see the knight here. So from here, which is the coordinates are the same, but he can't land here on the exact same square from below. So he can move and take out that knight from the second floor to the top floor. So there's like 3 floors, right? And then there's medium floors in between as the attack boards. So in this way, he takes out the pawn and the knight. Uhura moves differently. There's Uhura. And she can go and take out this pawn, this rook. So all these are gone. And then that one is gone. And that one's gone. But here's the thing, though. Uhura has a unique mod. And that, so if a rook, or I'm sorry, if an enemy encounters her, right? Or if she encounters an enemy, let's say she does, okay? So let's say instead of moving like a normal rook, she encounters a rook. Let's say she moves this way and then she comes this way. What you do is you take a coin, okay? You take like this silver dollar here, okay? Flip the coin, okay? If it's heads, then you would take out the piece here. If it's tails, what you would do is you would share the same space with it, right? Or what you would do, yeah, you would share the same space with it, and this would convert to a white pawn, only if it's practical to do so. If a pawn is taken off the board and you put back the pawn on the board, and that shows that she has communication skills. So she has communication skills to turn one color to another. It could be white to black, could be black to white, doesn't matter. So sometimes she goes on a tails, she can do this. If it's heads, she just takes out the rooks like so. So that's how she works. She has a communications mod. That's how that one goes. Scotty has a unique mod in which he can castle with the ship. So the ship is here and Scotty is there. There we go. So you can switch places, or in a case of like another, in the traditional castling, if the ship can move this way, then he can switch places. I think that's how castling works. You know, you move two squares over, you switch places. And only Scotty can do this. Uhura cannot castle. Uhura cannot castle. Only Scotty can castle. So because he's an engineer, so he can manipulate the ship. The Doctor has a unique mod. He does not capture pieces. Dr. McCoy does not capture any pieces here. So, you know, like the rooks, here, I'm going to put some of these back for a moment just to kind of enlighten the example. But he does not capture any of the other opponent pieces. What he does is that he protects all friendly pieces. And he can break the rule of landing on the same square on the same floor, as long as that movement of that sort of quote-unquote illegal move allows him to be near friendly pieces. So as long as McCoy is near friendly pieces, the enemies cannot touch any of these. The knights, the pawns, the rooks, any of the crew, they cannot touch. They can capture him, and then all these pieces are up for grabs. The only piece that Dr. McCoy cannot protect is the ship. That's the only piece. Okay, Spock is very much, he is moving diagonally, so he can take out, he can either take out these 3 pieces or these. We'll just do this fancy. We'll just take out this one. So like these pieces here can be eliminated. And if you can't put Spock in there, what I would usually do is I use a little blue piece right there. A little, you can use a Lego, you can use a die, something blue, and that'll tell you that's Spock's location. So Spock moves diagonally, just like any bishop does. So that's his skill. Captain Kirk moves like the Queen does. So very similar to the Queen, you can take out the Queen, you can take out the Rook, so all these pieces get eliminated. He can move diagonally, and take out the knight, and then take out the pawn straightforward like a rook. Because he's the captain, he can move wherever the fuck he wants. It doesn't matter. And the Enterprise moves one square up, down, diagonally, and it is the one you must capture the Enterprise to win the game. Now, here's the thing: the Enterprise is basically the key piece. What happens now with the rules of chess and ranking? When the pawn moves to the 8th square and gets a high rank, becomes the next knight, becomes the next bishop. That happens in chess. If Captain Kirk is eliminated, like let's say Captain Kirk's, let's make it easy, right? Captain Kirk's eliminated. So Enterprise moves like the Enterprise, but Spock will move like the Queen. So you'll have to keep track of this. The Spock will move like the Queen. McCoy always stays the same. Nobody can promote to being a doctor. So McCoy stays the same. If Scotty's eliminated, right, or Uhura, one piece you have to decide either Sulu or Chekhov will have Uhura's mod, and they can negotiate communication skills. While let's say Sulu does that. Let's say Sulu does communication and moves like the Rook does, and then the other Rook, being Chekhov, will have to be the one to castle with the ship. So castling and all that. If a lot of the senior pieces die, then you promote them up to like higher ranks. So let's say to keep track of it, let's say this is the horizontal knight, and this is the vertical knight for Sulu and Chekhov. So and that promotion happens within the game itself. You don't have to go to the highest row, the farthest, the 8th row. So that happens. The ranking happens with them because obviously, if Captain Kirk was killed in an episode of Star Trek, Spock would be the captain, or Scotty would be the captain. So you have to keep track of all this. There are some rules for. I made up some rules for whether I could have that. This is an 8-sided die. So if you roll an 8-sided die, you determine how many how many moves per player can go. So it could be traditional 1, or it could be eight moves per person. And then there are rules for that I have, and there'll be some Klingon, some Borg, Ferengi, phaser rules, mirror universe rules. This is the real Star Trek Infinite right here. So I wanted to share that with you. I hope you enjoyed. If you like what you see, you know what to do. Click on those buttons, and hope if you want to see more of this. I really enjoyed it. I intend to play more of it. As far as moving through the squares, where there's a pawn, like if a rook moves through there, maybe that could be a handshake agreement or not. But mostly you don't want to, rook cannot jump over other pieces, and bishops can't do that. As long as you're paying attention. And yes, with attack, you can, let's say with Uhura, if she's on the attack board, whoever's on the attack board controls the attack board. So you can, on the king's side, 1 move, 2 moves, right? This is the king's attack board, and the queen is 1 or 2 just on the left-hand side. And you can turn it 180 so that she's either here or here, depending on. So you can move those attack. Let me show you really quick if I can move without killing the pieces. Okay, so you can move that attack board around. But remember, each time, if it's like in the king, this is 1 move, this is 2 moves. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed. Let me see if I can do the symbol. I can only do it barely with this hand.